For sure, I think all of us were disappointed. You see the locker room and people had their heads down just because, we thought we deserved more. We played really well, and, sometimes that's just the way soccer is, and it's honestly the story of the season.
Your thoughts on Ladero, his first appearance?
Very good. He's a guy that keeps possession. He's a good guy in the locker room. When you're in trouble, you honestly pass it to him or Clint, and, they wiggle out of trouble.
You talk about your goal. Talk us through the goal.
Yeah, I think I crossed it in. I think Nelson honestly headed it up. He had an amazing, hold-up play and managed to pass it back. I was asking for it, and, I think they wet the turf a little bit beforehand, and it went in.
You tell us about the mood in the locker room after the match. Coach chatted about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing, I think. We thought we deserved more, honestly. We had our chances. It's somewhat of the same story, this whole year, and we have to just look forward to Orlando on an away trip, and we have to come back with a victory.
How did it feel out there with Clint and everybody back? I mean, free flowing, or how did it feel on the field?
Different for sure. I thought we had a lot more possession. Sometimes we rush things, but that's also because we haven't practiced together. I think Clint and Nico only had one practice together, so I think we'll get in a rhythm. But it'll take a little bit of time. But even with one practice in, we look good. I thought. I think we just finished our chances, and that's game.
How different was this week with all the changes that were made? Coaches go on and players come in. How different was that week, and how hard was it to prepare for a team like this?
Galaxy's a good team. They played well on the road. They waited, they countered. We got one in, and I thought it sparked them. But all the changes, it seemed positive, at least from our game. We played well, we pressed, we worked hard as a team, and we defended. Unfortunate on the one goal, but we played well, we created a lot of chances, and that's what we hope to do in Orlando.
Formation changed today with you next to Alonso in the 4-2-3-1. How did that change your role?
A little bit more defensive. We have four guys that are attack-minded guys. And I think Ozzy and my goal were to cover as much ground as we can and defend for these guys, because they are playmakers, and as long as we pass them the ball and cover ground for them, defend, we'll be just fine. And I thought Ozzy showed well, and myself, I thought we were a good pair in there, and unfortunate on the goal, I think, at the end of the game, but they only had two chances, I would say.